Hey everybody, we're on to our final project, the cultural design painting. So you should have downloaded a PDF file that has all these motifs, which is a fancy word for patterns and symbols that exist in different cultures and countries. So we have African, Turkish, Polish, Asian, Indian, Egyptian, Hispanic, and Celtic. So you can choose from these ideas, or you can type in on Google image search a country that you're interested in, and you're going to develop a design for a painting. So if you're having trouble coming up with a design, you can download this file, and it kind of takes everything step by step for you. So in the first spot, it asks you to write down the culture that you're studying, which I was thinking about using African motifs. And then it asks you to find all of your favorite designs and just copy them. So I picked some of these zigzag stripes, some of these stair-step designs, and a few of these symbols that I saw on the paper, like that one. Then in the next step, it's asking you to pick specific lines or shapes from these images and just copy them down and separate them. So I liked the zigzags that I saw, I liked the stair-step designs and how these shapes fit inside the shapes, and I also liked these dashed lines that were around that design. Step 4 is asking you to create something new with all of these ideas. So you can rotate things, stretch things out, or crop or layer. So I used the stair-step design, this layering, and the zigzags, and I created a new design. My point in showing this to you is that instead of directly copying what you see, I want you to challenge yourself to come up with something new from what you see. So here's my final design. I've drawn it out lightly on the watercolor paper. I've drawn it a little bit darker so that you can see it. You want to make sure that you can barely see the pencil lines on your own paper. And we are going to be using flat washes, and you're required to come up with 3 mixed colors. So when you mix your colors, remember you need to mix them on a lid. If you have colors that are dried up that you don't want to use, you can wipe out those areas with a wet paper towel. And you also want to make sure you're choosing an appropriate brush size for the area that you're trying to fill. So if I want to fill this middle square, this brush could get the job done quickly, but I'm not sure that it would be the best size because it might be too big to do the corners precisely. So I'm going to choose my medium-sized brush. And just as a review, a flat wash involves painting the whole shape with water only, all the way into the corners. And if you have corners like mine, you want to hold your brush mostly vertical to be able to sneak the brush into those corners. Then, once you have water on the entire thing, you can add paint on, and the paint will spread into all the areas that have water in it. Then you have to use your brush to guide your paint into all the corners and crevices. So the goal is you want all the paint to be the flattest, most even, transparent color as possible. So if you see a dark area, you drag the paint downward while it's drying until the color is as even as possible. So here I have a mixed bluish green color, so I met one of the 3 mixed color requirements. So I'm going to paint a little bit more, and I will show you what it looks like when I'm almost done. So here's an in-progress shot. I just wanted to remind you that when you're working with flat washes and they're side by side, you want to make sure you skip around. So leave some white space between each shape that you draw until they have time to dry. If the paper is cold to the touch, then the paper is still wet, so you need to give it more drying time. So here's my painting with all the flat washes, and it's still drying. You can see some bubbled up wet areas. But at this point I've met many of the requirements. I've used one motif, African patterns, to create a cultural design. And I've used 3 mixed colors, at least 3. And I decided to use mostly mixed colors. It's up to you. At this point, the last thing I have to do is pick out some areas to add glazing to. So if you recall, glazing is when you put watercolor on top of existing dry watercolor. So I'll show you what that looks like. Here's my finished project. I've met all the requirements. I have flat washes, glazing, and 3 mixed colors. Good luck!